Now, for the longest time, I have been telling my clients that the best way to penetrate YouTube is in editorial content. And I 100% stand by that. Why? Well, I have examples and I have proof. And at the end of this video, I'm going to tell you exactly how much extra revenue these guys made with a solid YouTube campaign. Now, I am so lucky that most of my clients are really involved in the YouTube process, and potentially I can help them curate their channel from the ground up. Now, admittedly, some of my clients are a bit more YouTube than others, and that's absolutely fine. Some people they run around doing challenges, road trips, whatever it may be. But the one thing I have noticed with any and all channels that have grown significantly in the past 18 months, maybe 2 years, is the fact that if they bring a lifestyle to their channel and their content, that seems to help them grow pretty much exponentially. And why is this? Well, to be completely candid and blunt, people are nosy b****s. People don't necessarily always want to see cold, hard facts. They want to see the impact that your decisions have made for your theory as to why you're doing something. It's all about the background knowledge of the facts. Facts are fine as long as people have got a way to present them and to justify them being factual. Basically, they crave exposition. Yeah, that's what exposition means. So how does that all equate into a video? You turn it into editorial style content. Right, to give you some context, I'm going to inform you of 2 architectural channels that are using very different ways of making their content. One of them is more fixated with design and technical aspects such as drawings. I'm not going to give this channel away, far from it, but one thing I'll call them is the cold, hard architects. Yeah. And fair enough, right? Architects have got to do what architects have got to do. They've got to inform us, or I've made some notes here, of angles, distances, optimal for the eye, construction, feng shui. I don't know how to spell that. Feng shui, I think that's how you spell it. And other things like internal pathways. And anyway, this channel is focused on the data, and it's not necessarily working with a backstory as to why they're doing it. They're purely working on this is good for this is good for that, let's draw something, and that's fine. It seems to be working for them. But one thing this channel is not doing is not informing the viewer as to why they're doing things in a certain way. They're just saying they have to do things in a certain way. To be human is to be curious. Why are things the way they are? What you probably don't know is that your audience, or this particular audience I should say, revels in layers of curiosity. They want to know every reason for other knock-on effects. It even says so in this book. So this other channel that I'm about to get into focuses more on the theory as to why and the people behind the brand and everything else that goes into them as a company. So how does this translate into content? Well, let's call them fluffy architects. Yep. So these guys are more prone to set themselves a task. Could they fit this style with this style in a residential building? Which is great because it's quite an interesting premise straight away. It's a completely basic premise, but it's really intriguing as to this contrast. Contrast will always win in this whole scenario with YouTube. Something over here is something over there. Will it clash or will it work? Now, they are set to design this building, but what they do is that they find inspiration as to why they are looking at things in a certain way. We are to follow them on their inspiring visits, their key texts that they take from this, curves, angles, positionings, whatever architects do. Could the 2 styles complement each other with adjoining inspiration, what's already out there? And as I say, this can be a fairly easy setup. It can be tactfully done. Now, they keep it highbrow. It's all about their journey of understanding and translation, not all about the data. Now, these channels are exceptionally different, even though they are fundamentally the same in terms of architecture, YouTube, Bosch. Yeah, there's only so much you can do with that, right? But they are completely contrasting in the way they do things. So comparing the 2 is going to be really tough. One channel has 6,000 subscribers, releases content every month, and gets about 1,200 plays a month, with seemingly quite good engagement with their audience. And it's 18 months old, and it's important to know this brand has been going for 5 years. That's in my notes, which you can probably work out that I'm reading. Other channel has 4,000 subscribers, releases content every 2 weeks, and gets about 2,500 plays a month. And this channel is 9 months old, and the business has been going for about 3 years. So again, not similar, but still similar in a sort of weird way. So when we come down to it, what channel is doing better? Well, as always, it comes down to their motivation, why they're doing a YouTube campaign, why they architects actually, but also why YouTube. Now, I have spoken to both of these channels independently the past couple of weeks. One channel is more motivated by subscribers. I think it's a brand thing. The other one is not too bothered, but the one thing they are motivated by is they use this as a lead generation tool, effectively. They have cut down all advertising and they're just spending money on YouTube and spending time on YouTube. Now, they have both informed me of their advertising budgets for the past 2 years, and it is basically between $20,000 and $25,000 a year that they put in magazine advertising, Google ads, all that sort of stuff. But a lot of times they're going for glossy magazines. Now, what's quite interesting with these two is that they say it takes them between 4 to 6 days a month to create these videos for YouTube. Now, rather than them spending tens of thousands of pounds on adverts or magazine adverts, sorry, I'm reading the notes here, there is no way for them really to, not that they've implemented a way to show what leads have come from that magazine. They haven't put a QR code in there, they haven't put like a little voucher or something or whatever in their magazine advert. So it's really difficult to tell where they come from. And they say when they put it on the website, nobody ever puts in magazine, they just do the first thing, which is Google search. So, and they've always said no matter what they change on the first one, if it's Google search magazine, they'll just click the first one and they're not bothered by what their response is. But as a brand, as a business, you guys are. But what's really interesting with the YouTube model is that they can, it's almost the polar opposite. Companies actually say, oh yeah, I saw your stuff online, I saw your videos on YouTube, oh, I really like this, I really like that. It's a talking point. It's not even just a push a brand out there to see what's as a touch point for initial contact. It starts a conversation, which is all about engagement, and that's something you don't get with magazines. Magazines are just magazines. That's actually quite interesting. These guys actually do different things as well. So they say that they do, they can see a generation lead path, which is really important, as I said, and because they can mention it in the video or something like that. They can put links on their videos in the description, I should say, and they can do affiliate partnerships or simply I saw your video. So I mean that is their main thing. These are their points. That's why video is so much more useful to them than legacy magazine stuff. So brass tacks, let's see how much revenue they increased over the time they have been on YouTube. Fluffy Architects increased their revenue by just over 190%. Cold Hard Architects increased their revenue by over 125%. So what does that mean in terms of money? Fluffy Architects made an extra $170,000 in 9 months since they released their YouTube channel, and this is what they can track. They don't know everything, but they think they can track this down to just their YouTube campaign. And Cold Hard Architects, they have increased their revenue by just under $235,000 a year. And now the really good thing is, because they are making more revenue, they have employed or have regular freelancers. They have 2 of them coming in to create their content for them. So they are now recouping the days that they lost. It's 4 to 6 days a month. They're putting that back into the business, where they can only go out for a day and film everything that they need to do for the month, which is a really interesting way. It means they can probably generate more that way. A bit of investment rounding back in means that you can get more revenue in the bottom line. So it's pretty significant. Now, of course, I will admit that business grows organically anyway, with word of mouth, with good jobs, with connections, blah, blah, blah. So yes, but these figures aren't exactly precise, but you'll never get precise figures. But this is the figures that they're saying is what they deem as viable from their YouTube campaign. And as I say, they have seen that firsthand with conversations, with links, all that sort of stuff. So it's pretty accurate, or as accurate as we're going to get anyway. Now, the one thing that is pretty obvious is that the view count and the engagement has gone up with YouTube from nothing, because there wasn't a channel before, to something. And then now their monetary revenue stream has gone up pretty similarly in that graph. So you can see how one avenue of advertising has really helped that go up. So yeah, the connections are pretty uncanny. So what's the takeaway here? So you can either spend £1,000, £2,000, whatever it might be, on glossy adverts, which look lovely, but they don't actually bring you money. Video, now done right, can bring in revenue to the bottom line of your brand and business, which is why YouTube is the best way of doing this. We at Project Green, we believe in engagement and in resonance. That is why you need to watch this video next, because this helps you out with all of those things.